Greetings to everyone. Myself, Dr. M. Harianand, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at MLR ITM, Hyderabad. Here I am handling the subject of Structural Engineering 2, that is Design of Steel Structures. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about design criteria for limit state design or steel structures, okay, that we are going to discuss right now. So design criteria or design requirements and its limited design. So loads and load combinations. So first thing, load. I already said we have discussed that IS 800 2007 is we are going to use for the design of steel structures. Okay. Uh, Next, handbooks we are going to use for load combinations and load criteria. We are going to use IS 875 1987. Okay, now that we are going to use. So right now we are going to have load and load combination. Okay, first load. Load is a term frequently used in engineering to mean the force exerted on a surface or body. Okay, these forces that can act on a structure are called loads. Okay, the force is a push or pull on an object with mass that causes it to change velocity. Okay, the force is also known as a vector quantity as it has both direction as well as magnitude. Okay, so based on direction we are going to say vertically downward and a horizontal load, okay, with the intensity of 10 kilonewton, 100 kilonewton, or like that. Okay, so the force have both magnitude as well as directions. Okay, next, force versus load. Force is applied by the object and the load is applied on the object. Okay, so this is the common difference between the force and the load. Okay, next, types of loads. So dead load, live load or imposed load, then environmental load. Okay, so these are the common loads which we are going to discuss. So first one, dead load. So IS 875 part 1 is going to deal with dead load. So based on the member size and the member thickness and everything, we can have the dead weight of the or self weight of the member. Okay, that is called dead load. Second one, imposed load or live load. Okay, so based on the structure criteria, okay, how much it going to take the load from the externals. Okay, so external in the sense, as a human being we are called a live load, comes under live load. Okay, now, so based on the structural nature like industry or house purpose or commercial purpose. Okay, now, so based on that the live load intensity may vary, so that we can get it from IS 875 part 2. Okay, and part 4. Next to environmental load. Okay, environmental load is nothing but based on the environmental condition. Okay, now, so some area, as we are India. Okay, now we are in India, we can have the loads of wind. Okay, now based on some location, and the seismic load based on some sea earthquake zone. Okay, now, and the snow load. So snow load means we can have in the North India like Himalayan hills or their places. Okay, now, so these things based on the location it may vary. Okay, so those things we can have in the IS 875 part 3. Okay, now, and part 4 is especially for snow load. So wind load, seismic load, and snow load. Okay, now, so these things. So seismic load we can get it from IS 1893 2002. Okay, next, erection loads. So only in steel structures we can have erection loads. Okay, so that is nothing but while going to handle or while going to place the steel components. Okay, now that time I can get some erection loads due to, sorry, that time I can get some loads due to erections. Okay, so I'm going to nail somewhere. I'm going to do some shaking or something there, okay, no. So at that time I can have erection loads in the steel structure alone, okay. So it's may happen due to operation of equipment or operation of construction materials, okay, now positioning of construction materials. Next, fifth one is accidental loads. Such loads are happened due to fire or earthquake or impact of vehicle or blasts. Okay, now so these things, earthquake also a kind of accidental load, but we are going to have separate code book for that. But here a accidental load means uh, fire, blast, impact of vehicles, hitting the vehicles. Okay, now due to that. Next, sixth one is secondary effects due to contraction and expansion. Okay, now these load may happen due to coefficient of thermal expansions, okay, now, and freezing thawing effects, okay. So because of this, we are going to have a six category of load. First one is dead load, second one is live load or imposed load, third one is environmental load, fourth one is erection load, fifth one is accidental loads, and sixth one is secondary effects, okay. Next, dead loads. IS 875 part 1. So the dead load is one which is fixed in magnitude and in position. So the dead load is sulfate of structure. Okay. So based on the sulfate of structure, it can. Okay now. So it is depend upon the nature of the structure. So nature of element of the structure, whether it is beam or whether it is column or whether it is slab, okay, whether it is column, whether it is walls or partition walls, false ceiling, water tank, stairs, okay now. So based on that, the dead weight of the member can change, okay. Uh, Based on our experience, the initial value is assumed or estimated. Okay, so this is the constraint. So here the table shows the unit weight of some important building materials like steel, stone masonry, brick masonry, cement, PCC, RCC, okay, cement mortar, earth, asbestos sheet, GI sheet, okay now. So all the values they have given in kilonewton per meter square, okay. So steel means 7850 kg per m cube or kilonewton per meter square. Okay. So this is 78.5 kilonewton per meter cube. Stone masonry 20 to 26 kilonewton per meter cube. Brick masonry 20 kilonewton per meter cube. Cement 14.40 kilonewton per meter cube. PCC 24 kilonewton per meter cube. RCC 25. Cement mortar 20.8. Okay, now earth 18 kilonewton per meter cube. Then asbestos sheet, it have the load of, when comparing with the length and breadth, the thickness is less. So that's why the sheet materials are comes under kilonewton per meter square loading. Okay, now like a slab load. Okay, so asbestos sheet 0.122, 0.156. Next, GA sheet 0.0532, 0.138, sorry, 0.138 kilonewton per meter square. Next, imposed load. So imposed load, I already said that it is depend upon the nature of the building usage. Okay. So whoever the live load coming to the structure, okay, now that is very depend upon time and depend upon nature of the structure. Okay. So that we can. So here these are gravity loads, other dead loads such as occupancy by people, movable equipment and furniture, then stored material and machinery and snow. So these are all composed comes under imposed load. Okay. So imposed load may be divided into two groups. One is those which are applied gradually, which can be represented as static equivalent. And these are applied dynamically, such as impact and repeated loads. So machines and vibratory loadings are comes under dynamic load or impact load. Okay now. And like man, human beings, occupancy by peoples and machinery, if it is in stationary condition, those things are comes under static load. Okay now, static load systems, since it won't create much impact on the load, okay now, on the structure. So those things are comes under live load. So this load can be calculated from IS 875 part 2. So next, imposed load criteria where we can have. So it can have 7 categories. One is live load, crane load, snow load, dust, hydrostatic and earth pressure, impact load, and horizontal loads on parapet. Okay, now so these are all the 7 loads categories comes under imposed loads. So live load IS 875 part 2. So furniture, equipment, occupants of the structures. So this figure denotes that the live load criteria, and it can vary with respect to magnitude and position with respect to time to time. Next, wind load. So wind load, this formula is we are going to use. Okay, Vz is equal to K1, K2, K3 into Vb. So whereas K1 is equal to risk coefficient, K2 is equal to coefficient based on terrain condition, terrain height and structure size. Okay, so terrain in the sense with respect to nature of places. Okay, now, so in Hyderabad, uh, that is based on climatic condition. The sun is also high, the wind also high, the snow also, sorry, the rain also high. Okay, now, so based on that, the value will come. But if I'm going to take Tamil Nadu, okay, now, in Tamil Nadu itself, with respect to position, it will change. So if I'm going for Telangana, sorry, Andhra Pradesh, Visakhapatnam, so there it is coastal area. So there may be the wind force may be high when comparing with other load. So based on the terrain, it will differ. Okay, next topographic factor. So this is also similar to our terrain conditions. Next K3 is topography factor. Okay, now so topography in the sense based on location. Okay, then the design wind pressure Pz is equal to 0.6 Vz squared. Okay, so Vz is nothing but here Vb is equal to basic wind speed. Okay, now that is depend upon our nature of field. Okay, now it will vary. So that one we can get it from our handbook. Okay, next wind loads. Wind load. Okay, now here the wind. So leeward side, windward side. This is leeward side. So windward pressure, it can vary with respect to height of the building. Okay, now, so if the height is more in the top of the building, the wind pressure will be very high. In bottom side, the wind pressure will be less. But in the leeward side, so where it is going to leave outside, so it makes the constant pressure through the building from top to bottom. So that we can shown in this figure. Okay, now. Similarly, if it is a roof structures, okay, now truss or roof structure, okay, now here the windward pressure and leeward pressure will change depend upon the height as well as uniform pressure. Okay, now and in the roof also it is a sloped roof. So the intensity is more in the windward side, but leeward side the uplift pressure may happen. So uplift is nothing but it is going to lift up the roof. Okay, now if it won't have sufficient stability. Okay, now so the leeward side, if it is roof structure, okay, now slope roof structure, we have to ensure and we have to resist the uplift pressure also. Our design should satisfy the uplift pressure condition also. Okay, next earthquake load. So earthquake load, the structure subjected to ground motion due to earthquake. So this is the random motion of the ground caused by the earthquake, and it can be resolved in 3 mutually perpendicular directions. That is horizontal direction, vertical direction, and 3-dimensional directions. Okay, now so it may happen at any place like anywhere. Okay, now and any position. Okay, now so if I'm going to consider this is my building. Okay, now so it can occur in any position, that is x direction or y direction or z direction. Okay, now so in all the three direction also, so I have to measure the thing related to all the 3 directions. So that safety I have to ensure while doing the design. Okay, The intensity of ground expected at any location depends upon the magnitude of earthquake, depth of focus, distance from the epicenter, and the strain strata on which the structure is located. Okay, now, so if I'm going to consider this is my earth. So with respect to the position, epicenter, okay, now, how the magnitude has to be occurred here. Okay, so it is depend upon the focus of our earthquake. Okay, next erection loads. So all loads required to be carried by the structure on any part of it due to storage or positioning of construction materials and the erection of equipments, including all loads due to operation of such equipment shall be considered as erection loads. So here erection loads we can get it. Okay, when the movement of vehicle or when we are going to move the elements from one place to another place, and if we are going to apply some loads on the structure, okay, while placing the structure, okay, now structural elements, so that time we can have erection loads. Okay, so proper provisions shall be made, including temporarily bracings, and to take care of all the stresses developed during erection. So if I'm going to have structure like this, and if I'm going to erect this member, okay, now I have to give the bracings here to here. Okay, like that I have to give the bracings so that whatever the stresses is going to create now, so that may reduced. Okay, and it can eventually distributed to all the members. So that is the advantage of bracings, providing the bracings. Next, accidental load. So I already said accidental load caused by the collision or while doing the erection. Okay, now fire or something. Okay, now explosions. So impact or collision. This is happened due to vehicles or machineries or something. Okay, now explosions. If nearby area caused by some explosions. So if the construction is happening nearby some quarries or something, if they are going to blast, then automatically we can get some loads on the structure. So this is due to explosions. Third one is fire. Okay, now these are all unpredictable. Okay, now so our structures to be designed to resist these accidental loads also. Last one, secondary effects. So it is happened due to freeze and thawing effects on the buildings. Okay, now due to thermal expansion and thermal contraction. Okay, now here differential settlement of foundation, differential shortening of columns, eccentric connection, rigidity of joints differing from design assumptions. Okay, now so it may happen due to these effects. Next, load combination. So as per IS 800-2007, the following load combination have to be done while designing a structure. So dead load plus live load. This is the first combination. Second combination is dead load plus live load or imposed load plus wind or earthquake load. Okay, now similarly dead load plus wind or earthquake load, and the fourth one is dead load plus erection load. So here wind or earthquake or snow load also we can take. Okay. So earthquake loads shall not be assumed to act simultaneously. So the effect of earth considered and maximum one is used for the design. So whichever is maximum, either wind or design earthquake load. Okay, now either wind or snow load. Okay, now among them the combination, which one is maximum, that we are going to use it for the design purpose. Okay, next basis for design. So steel structure should be designed and constructed to satisfy the design requirements for stability, strength, serviceability, brittle fracture, fatigue, fire, and durability with due regards to economy. Okay, so we have to consider these things while doing the design, along with serviceability and limit state of collapse requirements under the limit state of design. We have to ensure the economy also. Okay, now So those things we have to consider for basic for design. So design philosophies. So design of steel structure consists of design of steel members and their connections so that they will safely and economically resist and transfer the applied loads. So here two things we have to remember. One thing to we are going to design the member first, then after they have to connect each and every member, okay, now by the help of connections. Over that, after doing that, the loads whatever coming over the structure, it has to transfer to the ground safely, okay, now. So these two things we have to, so design of members, design of connection, and whatever the applied load coming on the structures, no, that has to transmit to the ground safely. So these aspects we have to consider, and we have to ensure the safety also. Second one, economically, economy usually means minimum steel, that is selection of lightest possible cross section. Okay, so here economical indicates with respect to money as well as with respect to safe transfer of load, both. Okay, now, so the light section has to transfer maximum load without failure. So that we have to ensure. So that is called a economical section. Third one is the design of structural steel elements is based on one or more of the following criteria. One is attainment of initial yielding. Second one is attainment of full yielding. Third one is tensile strength. Why we are saying these three criteria means, that is attainment of initial yielding, attainment of full yielding, and tensile strength. So structural steel have elastic and plastic state. If under elastic state, we can adjust, or it can take all the three things very easily. But once it is transfer from elastic to plastic state means it can take only load, but it won't reback its original position even after the removal of load. Okay, now. So once if it is go for plastic state, the deflection will be high and the taken care of load also high, and it is moving towards failure. Okay, so that things we have to ensure for the safety of human living conditions. Okay, so this is the design of structural steel elements. Okay, criteria. Next, critical buckling. So buckling in the sense, if the number is having, that is, we can consider for column. Okay, now if the short column, long column we can have. Okay, now the based on the length to their dimension ratio, height to dimension ratio is more than 12, or okay, now then we can call it as a long column. So long column have buckling failure, which means deflection failure, maximum deflection failure. Okay, now it may happen suddenly at anywhere in the section, probably at the mid of the section. Okay, now so that thing we have to ensure whether it can get buckling failure or not. Okay, otherwise it can get crushing failure or not. Okay, now buckling failure means automatically one place, that is we can have flexural failure. Okay, one place we can get tensile force and another place we can get compression failure. Okay, now that is comes under critical buckling or buckling failure. Then maximum deflection permitted. If I'm going to take the beam section, okay, now, so based on the beam support condition, the maximum deflection we can have. Okay, now, so whether the deflection is in safe limit or not, that is also comes under design philosophies. Then stress concentration, fatigue, and brittle failure. Always the metal has to fail under elastic nature. Okay, now not under brittle nature. Since brittle nature means it can fail suddenly, so that the collapse will happen at any time. Okay, now. But if it is elastic failure means it may have some reasonable visibility of failure on the surface of the element. Based on that visibility, we can find that it may go into failure. So we can go for some other option of whether we can replace in the member or we can give the support to that member. Okay, now. So these things we can do as a remedial activity. Okay, so these things we have to remember while doing the design of members. Next, design of steel structure should satisfy the following requirements. Okay, first one, it should be sustain all the expected loads on throughout the lifespan. So whatever the load is coming on the structure now, it has to transfer safely to the ground through the proper connection of the members. Okay. Next, it should sustain all the deformations expected during and after construction. So we all know that once the member has been erected, okay, now automatically it's started its further process like a deflection going to start due to its self weight and the application of external load or maybe, okay, now so these things automatically will start. So it has to do safe transformation of those deflection through the member connectivity. Next, it should be durable. So the lifetime, okay, now so it has to ensure the durability of the structure. It should withstand fire and any unexpected misusage. Okay, now even though it is steel structure, it has to withstand the fire. It has to withstand the fire. Okay, now so that like that we have to improve the remedial activities in the steel structures. Okay, now next, it should be stable and should not collapse. Okay, now which means if it is stable during the load application, then the lives of human lives has to be ensured. Otherwise, if it is getting sudden collapse, okay, now then automatically whatever the necessity we are going to provide the structure, it won't meet. Okay. Next, yes, steel structures may be designed by any one of three design philosophies. So as per RCC steel structure, sorry, RCC design, we are having three criteria like working stress method, ultimate load method, and the limit state method. The same way we can have in the steel design also, like working stress method. Only the thing is with respect to elastic nature. Okay, now so the material decision should have within the elastic limit itself. Okay, now next, ultimate load method. So in the stress strain relationship curve, it is up to this we are going to say elastic state, and this is purely ultimate load in the sense the maximum load. Okay, the maximum load. So the maximum load may happen here. Okay, now. So here it can take maximum load and the what it is the load deflection. Okay, now the deflection also very high in here. Okay, so because of this the deformation is very high. Okay, so it can attain the failure at any time. So here I'm going to take it as a straight line. So it can the stress versus strain relationship. Okay, it can attain failure at any time if once it's reach maximum load. But from here it is purely plastic state. Okay, now here it is purely elastic state. This transformation wherever happening here, now this is from elastic to plastic. So in this zone, I can get some safe requirements such as it can give some indication about its failure. Okay, now so I'm going to use that will be nothing but limit state method. Okay, this the maximum utilization of maximum load criteria, that is becomes ultimate load method. Working stress method is nothing but under the elastic limit. Okay, so this is the design philosophies or design criteria or design method we can have for the design of steel structures. So working stress method is came or we have used in the year between up to 1984. Sorry, from the year 1984 onwards, we have utilized till 2007. Okay, now in the year 2007, they have came for and the Bureau of Indian Standard have released the new code with respect to limit state of design. So that is IS 800 2007. Okay, in this method, the stress strain behavior till the yield stress, which is linear, is considered. Okay, now, and in order to work on a safe side, the working stress or permissible stress, which is fraction of yield stress. Okay, now that is the factor of safety is we are going to use, and the factor of safety will also be high. The factor of safety may be defined as the ratio of strength of the member to the expected force. So this will be very high in the working stress method. Okay. The following load combinations we can have in the working stress method. That is dead load plus live load, dead load plus wind load, dead load plus wind load. Okay, now this is up to permissible stresses. So the method of working stress method have following advantages. That is the simplest way of method to design the cell structures. It is most reliable. When comparing with the other method, the working stress method is considerably low. The serviceability requirement is automatically satisfied since the factor of reliability value is very high. So automatically the material thickness, the safety requirement will automatically increase. Okay, now, and also the uh, the material requirement also get increased. Okay, now, so because of these reasons, it ensures automatically the safety requirements. Limitation of working stress method. Ultimate load is much more than the yield load. It provides only uneconomical section since it is cost-wise more. Next, ultimate load. So I already said, discussed from that stress-strain relationship. The limitation of working stress method lead to the ultimate load method, also known as load factor method. So this method, when applied to steel structures, is referred to as plastic design method. Okay. As per this method, a section is said to be have caused plastic hinge when all the fibers yield. After that, it continues to resist the loads which has caused plastic hinge, but it will not take any more load. Okay. So here the constraint is it reaches their plastic hinge. Plastic hinge is nothing but the maximum position it have reached. Okay. So after that, if I'm going to apply the load, automatically it reach the failure state. Okay. So because of this reason, even though if it is giving a very economical section with respect to the safety aspect, it is failure only. Okay. So here the working load and the minimum load factor, they have given that dead load is equal to 1.7, dead load plus imposed load as equal to 1.7, dead load plus wind or seismic load is equal to minimum load factor as 1.7, and dead load plus imposed load plus wind or seismic load as 1.3. With respect to the combination of load, they have given the value of load factors. Next, ultimate load method. The following are the advantages of ultimate load method. That is, this method accounts for redistribution of internal force. That means it can take maximum load. Okay, now. And this method allows varied selection of load factors. So it, it can have less cross section and it can take more load when comparing with Ehlers working stress method. Okay, then disadvantages. Okay, now only the thing is it is already reached plastic state. So whenever it is reaches for maximum deflection, the only thing is it is going to get failure soon. Okay, now so that is the first disadvantage. Okay, then second one, it does not account for all serviceability requirements. Okay, now so the safety requirements is very high in the working stress method, but in the ultimate load method, the serviceability requirement is high, but with respect to safety, it is going to get failure soon. Okay, now so In order to have the advantages of working stress method and the advantages of limit state method or limit load method, ultimate load method, the limit state method has been introduced. Okay. So this is more comprehensive method to take care of design requirements from strength as well as serviceability criteria. So the strength criteria, we are going to get it from working stress method. The serviceability criteria, we can get it from uh, working stress method, and the strength utilization, we can get it from ultimate load method. So in order to get the both the things, we are going to introduce, or we have introduced the limit state method. Okay, objectives of limit state design. In the limit state design method, the structure shall be designed to withstand safely all the loads likely to act on it throughout its life. Okay. Then limit state definitions. The acceptable limit for the safety and the serviceability requirements before failure occurs. It is called the limit state. Okay now. So the advantages of uh, working stress method as well as ultimate load method. Okay now. Serviceability and safety requirements we have utilized for limit state. Okay now, at all stages before going to its failure. So this is called the limit state. So the limit state design method, we are going to use IS 800-2007 for the design of steel structures. So as per the design requirements for steel structures, as per IS 800-2007, steel structures are to be designed and constructed to satisfy the design requirements with regard to stability, strength, serviceability, brittle fracture, fatigue, and fire and durability. Okay, such that they should meet the following requirements. One is remain fit with adequate reliability and be able to sustain all actions, all loads and other influences experienced during construction and use. Okay, so if anything unexpectedly it happen means that also the structure has to withstand. Second one, how adequate durability under normal maintenance. Okay, and third one, do not suffer or overall damage or collapse disproportionality proportionally under accidental events like explosions, vehicle impact, or due to consequences of human error to an external damage. So even though it has to meet serviceability criteria and also the impact load criteria. Okay now. So both the things the structure has to withstand. Okay. According to that, our design recommends to be available. Next, in order to achieve a design objective, a design shall be based on characteristic values for material strength and applied loads, which means we are going to take some factor of safety for materials as well as load. Then only if we can expect some immediate load or unexpected load. Okay now, in order to satisfy or in order to safe transfer of those unexpected loads, we have to give some factor of safety to material as well as for load. Okay now, so that we have to consider while doing the design. And the reliability of the design is ensured by satisfying the requirements such that design action should be less than design strength. Always whatever the load is coming over the structures, no, that should be very less when comparing to the, that should be less when comparing to the our member load distribution. Okay now, so that the things we are going to denote in this equation. Okay, and third one, the limit states are that states beyond which the structure no longer satisfies the performance requirement specified. So here it is serviceability requirements. Next, classification of limit sets. I already said as per IS 800-2007, there are two limit states. One is limit state of strength, another one is limit state of serviceability. So it has to take more loads and it has to distribute safely to the ground through the member. Then also it has to give long span of life. Okay. So all the two things it has to obey. Then only it is the advantages of limit state of design method. First one is limit state of strength. So limit state of strength are those associated with failures under the action of probable and the most unfavorable combination of loads on the structure, using appropriate partial safety factors which may endanger the safety of life and property. Next, limit state of strength includes loss of equilibrium, loss of stability, failure by excess deformation or rupture. Fourth one is brittle failure. So all the things it has to satisfy or withstand. So that is the limit state of strength. Next one is limit state of, that is second thing is limit state of serviceability. So limit state of serviceability includes deformation and deflection. So even though excess deformation occurred, at the time also it has to do safe transfer of load. Okay. Vibrations, even if the structure have unexpected vibrations also, it has to withstand or it has to transfer the vibration through its member connection safely to ground. Next one is repairable damage or crack due to fatigue, then corrosion or durability, then fire. So all the things, even if happened fire also, it won't get immediate failure. It has to give some serviceability requirements. That means it has to withstand their life. Next, limit state strength, action or loads. So here it is time-based actions, permanent actions, variable actions, accidental actions. So all are related to our application of loads. Okay, characteristics of actions, design actions. So design actions we can give partial safety factor or different loads for the different load combination. Okay, now. So here in page number 29 of IS 800-2007, we can have the partial safety factors for load, limit state of strength, as well as limit state of serviceability requirements for the load combination, dead load, live load, and CL. Okay, now combination of loads. Okay, so based on that, we can have the partial safety factors. Next is strength. So design strength SD should be is equal to SU divided by root under M. So SU equal to ultimate strength, root under M is equal to partial safety factor for materials. So that is also given in page number 30 of IS 800-2007, table number 5. So based on this, we are going to have, okay, now. So here it is depend upon the strength of materials. So limit state of serviceability requirement criteria as it is to meet deflection limit, vibration limit, durability consideration, and fire resistance. So deflection limit. So the deflection under serviceability loads of a building or a building component should not impact the strength of the structure or cause damages to finishings. So if I'm going to apply the load, the structure get deflection. So because of the deflection, it won't affect the stresses, it won't increase the stresses, or it won't affect the serviceability of structures. Okay, now that we have to ensure. So under elastic analysis, the load factor is equal to 1 for the deflection criteria. So here it is available, deflection limits. Next, vibrational limit, durability limit. So durability comes under environmental, degree of exposure, shape of the member and the structural details, protective measures, ease of maintenance. So these all the things comes under the durability criteria. Fourth one is fire resistance. So we all know that when it is exposed to fire, the member won't get failure immediately. So that the fire protection methods we have to avail in the structure itself. So these are all the things are related to design requirements for the limit state design of the steel structures. Okay, thank you all.